regular board meeting for February 8th, 2021. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Everybody standing, please be seated. Okay. Janelle, could you please take roll call?
I would love to.
Okay.
DePalma.
I'm here.
Back.
Present.
Bills.
Present.
Christopher.
Here.
And Muzzarelli. Here.
Okay, everybody's here.
Fire Chief Ranger.
Everybody got a copy of today's agenda. Are there any questions or comments on it before we approve it? It looks okay to me. If not, a motion would be in order to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that means we approved it. And next item is you have a copy of the minutes from the January Township Board meeting and the Fire Board meeting. Are there any questions or comments on those? Okay, if not, a motion to approve would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the Groveland Township Board and the Groveland Township Fire Board meetings from January 11th, 2021.
As submitted?
As submitted.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll support.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so far we're on a roll. Next is the financials. Patty, do you have any budget amendments for this meeting?
I do not at this time.
Okay,
Kevin and I do have to take a look at some things, so I'm thinking at the next board meeting, there will be some.
okay, that's reasonable. Sure. Do you want to cover accounts payable too then, since
Yes.
there's no items on the budget?
So,
amendments?
accounts payable, 101, the monthly expenses were $48,201.75. In 249, there was $335, and that brought a total for 101, which is the general account, to $48,536.75. In 206, which is the fire fund, the monthly total was $21,839.69.
Okay, sir.
So my motion is to accept the accounts payables as submitted.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Hi, Jim. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, Janelle, could you please take a roll call on it? Because it's a lot of money.
DePalma.
Yes.
Back.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Christopher.
Yes.
Muzzarelli. Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda would be investment reports. Teresa, did you want to cover that?
Actually, we need the financial revenue and expense.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got that finger down.
That's
I
okay.
apologize. Financial reports for general fire and building. I'm sorry.
So those also, I'm gonna motion that they are, if anybody have a question on them, you're certainly welcome to ask. Otherwise, I motion to accept the revenue and expense reports as submitted.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
By Gina. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Now we move on to investment reports. So Teresa, did you want to cover that?
Yeah, sure. So you can see that you have the public fund spreadsheet and everything is balanced. What I wanted to point out on the cash on hand is that I was able to get all 3 months, November, December, and January, all on one sheet.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
it makes it easy, in my opinion, to see, changes. I also wanted to point out that the ambulance account was taken out of public funds and just put as a separate line item. And you can see that the auditor and I made that change in the December column. It's under fire, star ambulance savings. And that follows through into January as well. So that line item used to be in the public funds, and it's really not a public fund because it's revenue coming in and then it gets spent. So Ken and I decided to move it, and that's one change that we didn't do that until December. Okay.
This is
So-
very nice with 3 months at
It
a
really
view.
is.
I hope it helps make it easier to see, how things change.
It does, no, it's very, very, very good. I like the change. Thank you.
Uh-huh,
Okay,
that's it.
okay, and then I see you also gave us a list of all the bank accounts with the.
Those are all the public funds.
Funds,
So so you can just kind of see,
Where it is.
yeah, where it's spread out.
This is a nice improvement. Someday I'll tell you a story when I didn't have this. But thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is public hearing for community development block grant. And Patty, that's yours.
Right, do you wanna, we need to open.
Oh,
the
I'm
public
sorry,
hearing.
yeah, okay, it's 7:06 and we'll open the public hearing
Okay.
for
I've
the
got,
community development.
So first, is there anybody in the Zoom meeting that has comment or would like to speak regarding CDBG funds?
We don't have the screen, we can see.
Right.
that.
I'm pulling that up right now. I'm gonna get to that.
That's okay. I mean, is anybody letting you know, hey, I'm here, I'd like to talk? That's what the public hearing's for. If you, are an entity that would like to be considered for the CDBG funds,
This is your
this
chance.
is your chance to talk. I will say a few things in the public meeting. So CDBG is generally, in the past, has been done in October, where we have the public hearing, or November, where we have the public hearing. And this year, it was pushed back to present. There were a few things. HUD had a small percentage miscalculation, and also there's been a huge turnover at the county in CDBG as far as the people running it. So that's all in place now. So the way it works is the public hearing was posted in the paper, letting those interested know it's tonight, and to contact me or come to the board. Also,
It didn't take it, nobody's contact.
I will say Haven.
Oh,
Haven
okay.
has reached out, letting it be known, they sent a letter. I did talk with the gal at Haven, and they've also sent me back in November, December, hey, what's going on with CDBG? Because, they're interested in the funding. So what happens next is, if there's nobody to bring anything up at the public hearing, we can close the public hearing. Does anybody here have any questions? I mean, this is something that's gone on for, it's funds for not communities, but like entities such as Haven that are looking for not benefits, but
There's
funding.
Mhm.
Okay, so-
and it's done through
There's
the
more, but
county.
not on video.
Is this also where we contribute to BGYA?
We can, yes.
No, but what we have, is that where? we've
Yes,
gotten it
we
from?
have. No,
No, okay, that's.
to answer that question,
Right, okay,
it's a twofold,
okay.
yes and no. Years ago, Pam did go for CDBG money for BGYA, but during the regular year, I think we just gift them, I don't want to gift them, but we support them with 3,000, the same as with Holly Youth Assistance.
Right.
The library, we put money out for, that's
Right.
just in the general budget, that's accounted for there. This year, I will say, we have 7,000, let's see, $450, which last year we took a real hit on it. It used to be for a lot more, okay? So with that amount, there's not a whole lot you can do with it. Last year, we did give it to Supported Haven, and the entire amount, because it was so small, and it did go through. However, there are rules and regulations, but, you know, it fit. So, I'm not gonna make a motion now. We'll finish. Anybody else in the public hearing? I mean, I don't know how else to say. Now's your time. Jim, you have any questions? Anybody?
Cindy, do we have any from any of the home?
We've got TJ. I don't know who TJ is.
But they haven't indicated they want to comment?
No, and then you have a phone number.
And DJ?
And then you have a phone number. So you have
Okay.
that phone number.
Well, I hope the
Well, if there's no
phone-
comments, then we might as well close the public meeting at 7:11. Not the food place, the time.
Right. So to keep it all together, I realize that under new business is the Community Development Block Grant, which is the CDBG. So I'm going to suggest that, and I probably should have done that in the agenda, but to go ahead and make the motion. If the board, any discussion on this going forward right now? So my motion is going to be to approve the 2021 CDBG program year with the supervisor, Robert DePalma, the highest elected official, to sign the application and authorize the clerk to execute all document agreements or contracts and to submit the application to Oakland County. And then that's the first one. That's my motion. Janelle, you don't have to take that quickly. I meant to tell you the other day. I have it on. No, I have it on paper. So that's my motion, and then support. Thank you, Gina.
Okay.
The next,
Wait, you voted on that, right?
yes,
Okay, so
Sarah.
all in favor of the vote? Are there any other questions on the motion on the floor? Okay, if not, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, let's do a
Roll
A
call?
roll call
Okay,
too on this
Janelle, let's
one.
take a roll call, that's good.
thank you.
Mac,
Yes,
Bills,
Teresa?
Bills,
Sorry, I got muted. Yes, I'm in favor.
Christopher,
I'm in favor as well.
Rudrolli? Yes. DePalma?
Yes.
so the next is where they use the funds. So again, I'm gonna make the motion to use the 2021 CDBG funds to be used for public service, domestic violence in the amount of $7,452 to be executed by Oakland County through a one-year contract with Haven. Are there any questions?
Patty,
Yes,
I have a question. If nobody goes after these funds, what happens to them?
well, generally, the board makes a decision on where to send them anyway. You don't have to request them. They don't have to show up. I mean, we could decide to, I'm trying to think of some past ones we've
I
done.
can't think of any we have now.
I know, well, I mean, we've always allocated. I'm trying, well, like, if BGYA, let's say, use them as an example, had they not come here, I would make the suggestion of where the funds go, okay? With this small amount, it's best to do it where, you know, basically there's not much you could do with this for certain organizations.
Yeah.
Yes, it's best to give it to like the county where they can make the contract and they go in and they deal it. No contracts to split up and deal with here. Okay, there's not enough. What am I trying to say?
There's limitations on how you can divide it anyway.
Yes.
So we've always in the past let Pam make decisions on how to allocate it, because we're kind of limited to what we can do. It's
Well,
not really a whole lot of money.
Yeah, because we haven't had to do this for the last 3 years because we've had such little. There are stipulations on what you can use it for. And how much can go to that entity and how much you can put to this one. So we always allocate the funds to some, okay? I don't know if that answered your question.
It helps. It's good enough. Thanks.
The next one is, I had something in mind. I was going to say, I chose to go with Haven again. I did talk with CDBG, or not chose, but I am putting out there. You all can say no. You don't want it to go there. I put it out to CDBG and talked with them about going with Haven again. The other choice is the mobile home park. We've done those before too. I motioned and have suggested Haven for a few reasons. The mobile home park, one of them is totally just been redone, not to say they couldn't use funds
They're
too.
almost all the units.
Yes, and the other one is in the roots of it and closed. I know I just think right now there is maybe a more need for battered and abused. And that's what I need to put in my motion. Actually, I want to repeat my motion for those in need, were battered and abused. Domestic violence, yes,
Which, if you don't know, that's basically what Haven does.
yes. So that's where I came from. And then in the Citizen, I don't know if did anybody read the Citizen? There was an article that there is a higher incident recently of domestic violence. So that's my proposal I motion to use the 2021 CDBG funds to be used for public service, domestic violence, battered and abused in the amount of $7,452 to be executed by Oakland County through a 1-year contract with Haven.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Gina? Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
The only comment I would make is that with the understanding is we still have a budget line item to support BGYA and how you.
Yeah,
Yeah. We do that.
Oh,
on the
yeah.
township.
yeah, and the library. Right. Okay, so much goes to the library.
Okay, so there was a motion, a second. Okay, can we take a roll call, Janelle, please?
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli. Yes. De Palma.
Yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is presentation, and Teresa thought it would be a good idea if John could kind of give everybody a explanation on the tax, how they work and so forth. So, John Bassau, are you on the call?
I am. Can you guys? hear me?
John, I can't see you, but it's good to hear you.
Yeah.
So at this point, I would like to turn the meeting over to you for your presentation, okay?
Okay.
It's all yours, guys.
Well, I'm not huge on public speaking, but I'll do my best. So.
Well, there's not a huge public here, so don't feel bad.
So
Cool.
John, we'll go ahead and share the screen. You're just gonna have to let us know when to move through it, okay?
Okay. Okay, so for anybody that doesn't know, Groveland Township does contract Oakland County to do the assessing for them. Pretty much what I'm gonna talk about is what we do, what actually happens with taxes, what the taxpayers' options are when it comes to taxes. Just kind of give a quick overview. There is a lot of information in this packet. And I'm gonna skim through a bit of it, but if I'm correct, Teresa, you said that you would put it up online for people to look at a later date also, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We're gonna post
Okay.
this.
Okay, so the first page, second slide, we're gonna look at what do the taxpayers get out of having Oakland County do their assessing for them. Oakland County is in our department. We have many people. We assess 32 different units, CVTs in Oakland County. So we have a wide array of assessors that have been in the assessing field for numerous years. You know, we have people from 2 years to 30 years, 30 plus years. So we do have a wide array of expert assessors that can give us an answer at any time. The second thing is we have a lot of technology that a lot of counties don't actually have access to. We are able to use aerials. We have flyovers every so often. We had one in 2020 that we're able to look at. If we can't get onto a property, we're able to use the aerial images to see if a building was built, if there was work done. The third thing on there is staff training. Like I said, we have so many people at the county that have been doing this for so long. When Groveland has new employees, when they have new elected officials, we're able to come in and we have people that have been doing all this stuff for so long that they can train these elected officials, the new employees, on the different technologies that we're using to get not only our job done for the elected officials and everybody else coming in to get their job done as well. You know, our goal is that at the end of the day, the taxpayers have confidence in knowing that they were fairly and uniformly assessed. That's the one big thing with the state. They drive that into you. You know, you go to all these classes and everything that the state has. That is their big thing, is that every taxpayer should be uniformly and equitably assessed with everybody else. The last thing on here is it's a lower cost having us doing it, because with us having 32 different units, if another unit or municipality needs help, we're able to jump over. We have, you know, like any job, you have your busy times, you have your lulls, and during the busy times, it is nice to have other people that you're trying to get your stuff done. Somebody else can come over. Having an in-house assessor, you're kind of at the, first of all, you usually have to pay the people that, how many people that you actually need to get the job done. And when you do have those lulls in the year, you know, you're paying people for not having to do a whole lot of work, right? So it's nice to be able to pay for the least amount that you need.
John,
Yeah,
you have to have a larger community, I think most townships would agree, to justify having your own tax assessor. It's just not cost effective at our size. And I'm familiar with a number of horror stories where they've used different assessors, and then as they changed personnel, find out all the errors are in the record. For somebody like us, using the county is much better, And I could say in the 41 or 2 years that I've been affiliated with the township, we've only had one assessor that we weren't pleased with, and that was 40 years ago.
And I hope that's not me.
No, it's not. You haven't been here 40 years. You're okay, John.
Well, and you know, I mean, we really do try to make sure that you're getting what you pay for, you know. And again, I mean, you're always going to have assessors out there that want to do things their way, and that is part of the good thing with our department is there's a right way and a wrong way within our department with a lot of in-house assessors. They choose the right way, and it could be the wrong way, it could be the right way, you know. So but all right, on page 2, so I'm just gonna kind of skim over this one. You know, the first slide is the 5 property classes that we assess. You know, we have agricultural, commercial, industrial, personal property, and real property. Those are the classes that we assess. Within those classes, we do have different people in different departments that are actually doing a lot of legwork on different things. We do have a commercial team. We do have a personal property team. That'll be on slide 2. So slide 2 is our office is divided into 6 departments. The list is there. I'm not gonna read each one of them. I'll let you guys kind of read that. But within those 6 departments is where we come up with the different classes and the assessed values for the different classes. Page 3. So the first slide talks about our basic duties and what we're there to do. You know, we want to assess each property within the township. We want to be fair about it. We're to calculate the taxable value for each property, and we prepare an assessment roll each year. The second slide, this shows what leads us to visit the properties. You know, there's different things that we get from you guys. A lot of it's from you, you know, a transfer report that every time somebody comes in and they have a transfer of a deed, we look at that deed, and it's our job to figure out whether that deed is to be a transfer or not be a transfer of ownership. It's not easy, you know, because a lot of times you'll have the parent that is giving a property to their kid and it may be the daughter who is married, who has a different last name. So we have to then go through and figure out, okay, is this family? Because if it's family, the property doesn't uncap, and so it's not necessarily an uncapping. There are PTAs, property transfer affidavits, that we can look at if people decide that they're going to turn that in. Other ways, we have building permits. Danielle sends me building permits each month. So every permit that goes out, we look at each permit and we decide, do we want to go out to this property? Is it going to be a garage? does it need to go on the assessment roll? What kind of work is being done? So from there, we decide, okay, should we go out to a property or should we not? But these are all things that bake into the taxable value and making sure that people are fairly assessed. You know, we have periodic reviews. We'll do aerial imaging projects where we'll look at swaths of neighborhoods through aerial images and see if there's something that has popped up onto the property within the last few years. If there has been, we'll end up going out to that property. If not, we'll just, you know, move on to the next. Exemptions, when you have principal residence exemptions that people turn in, agricultural exemptions that they turn in, religious exemptions, we have to go out to these properties. We have to make sure that they're not being rented out. They are being used for agricultural purposes or religious purposes. So, you know, and when taxpayers call us, you know, I can't stress enough, when a taxpayer comes into the office, if they have any questions, you know, give them my card, because that's the best way for us to get a property correct and a record card correct, is because if they call us up and they have a question, it gives us the opportunity to go over their record card with them and make sure that everything that we have is correct. So, I mean, those are the ways that we try to keep a fair record card and everybody uniform within the township, you know. So page 4. This is the valuation process. So I won't go over it too much, but this will kind of give you the gist of how we actually go through the process. We determine land values and we add the building, and then the state gives us the manual that we have to add everything from. The depreciated costs of everything then goes into it. And then we use sales, which is the bottom slides. We have houses that we put in neighborhoods, and these are similar neighborhoods that the neighborhood may not be the exact same house, but it's a familiar area and landscape as well as the houses, but it's not necessarily, there could be a ranch style house in the same neighborhood with colonial style houses. But we take those sales, and those sales in a decreasing market, we will use a 1-year sales study. In an increasing market, we'll use a 2-year sales study. And that's just because in a decreasing market, everything taxes go for, it's kind of skewed in the favor of the taxpayer. So a decreasing market, it's going to go down faster, whereas an increasing market, we're using a 2-year sales study, so it's going to actually increase slower. And there's the dates that we use for each sales study, and that's the date that we would use for this year's values that we were setting. So next page, page 5. Okay, taxable value. So this is gonna be the big thing that taxpayers are going to want to know. Proposal A, before 1994, Proposal A was started in 94 and it went into effect in 1994. Before that, the assessed value and the taxable value, but the taxable value and the assessed value were the same thing. So as the market went up, your taxable value went up the same as the market. And when the market came down, came down just with the market. Proposal A went into effect, and it was put into effect in order to keep people on an income level that they were at. So the next year they weren't priced out of their homes. And so what happens with Proposal A is the year following a transfer of a property, the assessed value, whatever that assessed value is going to become the taxable value. And after that, every year after that, the cap formula is going to dictate the tentative taxable value. So if nothing is added to your property after your taxable value is set, the taxable value will not go up more than the rate of inflation or 5%, whichever of the two is less. So it's usually around 2%. I think this year it was 1.4% that the taxable or the rate of inflation. So if nothing was added to the property, the taxable value should only go up that 1.4%. Now, in that though, is you can see the formula on here, which is prior year's taxable value minus losses times the rate of inflation and plus additions. So that means that if there was a garage on the property that was demoed last year, that would be losses and would be taken off of the taxable value of the property. Now, if there was a garage built, that would be additions. So that's where the taxable value is going to go up or down, depending on what you do to your property. If you add something to your property, your taxable value will go up. You take something off of the property, it's going to go down. But you all are always going to have that rate of inflation added to the taxes or the taxable value each year. And each year, every taxpayer in Groveland is going to receive an assessment change notice. This assessment change notice is going to notify the taxpayer that their taxes are going up, going down, staying the same. And it's at this point where most taxpayers see it and they say, what is this? I'm going to throw this in the garbage, not pay attention to it. The reality of it is you should pay attention to it. There is something to be said. Well, I've been in my house for 30 years, the taxable value will never catch up to the assessed value. Therefore, I don't need to look at it. But you should always know what's happening with your taxes. You should know that, okay, make sure that there hasn't been something added that you disagree with, but that's the big thing right now, February's around, people, we have just sent out assessment change notices. So I urge everybody to look at their assessment change notice. Just make sure you agree with it. And if you agree with it, you know, put it aside and wait for the next one next year. But if you do, there's something on there that you don't agree with, then the taxpayer, there's a number on there that the taxpayer, I'm sorry, Janelle. I forgot to tell you to move to the next slide.
It's all good, figuring it out.
But yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that you agree, and if you don't agree, there's a number on there for the taxpayer to call, and every taxpayer that calls that number is going to talk to me, and I'm going to call them back. I'm going to go over their record card with them, make sure that we have everything correct. And if there is a discrepancy, I'll ask too, you know, this year with everything going on with the pandemic and everything, we are offering a virtual review. So if somebody doesn't want us to walk through the house, we have FaceTime on our phone, Duo on our phone now, that we're able to walk through the house virtually with the taxpayer and see any inconsistencies. You know, if there's a square footage inconsistency, we're probably going to have to come out to the property to look at, you know, I'll remeasure the whole house and make sure that the house is, we have the correct square footage on the house. And if we do find discrepancies on any of our reviews, we will change the record card. The taxpayer is going to get a new assessment change notice in the mail. And I usually call them up, let them know what that's going to be, so they have time to decide, do I want to go take this to the Board of Review? Because that is an option for every taxpayer to take their take an appeal. If they disagree with their taxes, take it to the Board of Review. The Board of Review is 3 people, 4 people. There is one person that's a sub, and they're people from Groveland that sit on the board, and they hear the appeal that the taxpayers have. Right now, if the Board of Review, we have online, and anybody that needs it, it's on our website for the county, under equalization, and we have all of the sales studies that we use. So all the sales that we use to set values are online at this point, where the taxpayers can go and they can actually go and look at sales for that are comparable to their house in order to take to the March Board of Review. But the Board of Review is just going to hear the taxpayer's appeal. If they agree with the taxpayer and feel that their property assessment is too high, they can lower the assessed value. If that assessed value drops below the taxable value, that taxable value will become the same as the assessed value. Therefore, it will lower their taxable, it will lower their taxes that are to be paid. If the Board of Review decides, you know, I don't agree with the appeal, I think that the assessment is fair, then they do nothing. And at that point, the taxpayer has the opportunity to take their appeal to the Michigan Tax Tribunal, or MTT. And that's the state level of appeal. And they can then appeal to the Michigan Tax Tribunal, and they can lower their assessment for the taxpayer. And if they still don't do it, there's another appeal process that they can say, I still want to appeal, and they appeal it back to the MTT. Other than that, I mean, I hope I covered most everything. The next slide is, it just shows the different communities that we do the assessing for are in green. So all the highlighted are who Oakland County is contracted to do the assessing for. Page 7 is the last slide, and it has my contact information, and I sincerely ask that anybody who has any assessing questions about their property, give me a call and I'll answer the questions to the best of my ability. And if I don't have the answers to those questions, I'll find it out and I can get back to you on it. Other than that, I mean, thanks for the opportunity to share, and that's all I really have. I mean, does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
John,
Thanks.
John, did I understand you right? Are the Board of Review, lack of better words, proceedings all going to be virtual this year?
So what we're going to try and do, and we're not 100% at this point, you know, everything changes daily. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to, you know, spread out with the board and maybe try and do it at the township hall spread out, but have the taxpayers doing it virtual, or we could do them calling in, and I'm going to try my best to make sure that we have everything emailed to the board members, so we can kind of get everything emailed, you know, each appointment, all the paperwork can be emailed to the board members, and so they can look at it. You know, we're not passing it from person to person. Right now we're looking at, I think we'll be in the township spread out, and then the taxpayers are going to do everything virtually or by phone. That's the goal.
Is there any proper procedure from both the county perspective or anything that we as a board need to consider? For example, you just said emails. Do we need discrete emails for the township set up for the 3 to 5 Board of Review members?
Jim, the only thing that they sent out in emails today from the state was you have to do virtual meetings. So I suspect as long as the applicant can do it virtually, so they don't have to come in, I think we've met the intent of that, the same way we're doing it tonight with our board meeting.
Yeah, and like I was telling Teresa today, there hasn't been any clear standing on any of this stuff, because you're allowed to work with multiple people in the office. So it's the social gatherings that are limited.
I think, John, it's clear the intent of all of these virtual meetings is to be able to allow the applicant to make their appeal without physically having to come in here. And it really, that's where the problem starts. If you recall, when we tried having a few public meetings when we were supposed to go virtual right away, we found out that as the meeting went on, people streamed in. Now, in reality, for a community our size, we have very few people that are in here for their tax appeals at any one time. And I feel kind of bad because I think a lot of those senior citizens are not comfortable doing it virtually. But that's the intent of the state legislation, I think, to keep the applicant not having to come to the meeting, not getting exposed, not having too many of them in here. But I don't see there's any problem with having the board here. It's really only 3 or 4 people that are going to be here.
Right. Right. And I mean, you know, the big thing is, and whether there's somebody that doesn't feel comfortable doing something, I'll bend over backwards to, you know, whether it be picking up the application for them, you know, and their appeal process on whatever they have. We'll get that information. And then if they have to come and I have to dial in a number for them to talk to the board, we'll figure that out. But that is the hard part right now is, you know,
We really don't have that many applications to come in here anyway. Last few years, it's been pretty light traffic.
it has, and we don't have a ton of people coming in. There are certain communities that it's just full, one right after another. We don't have that problem. So, but I mean, we'll figure everything out. We're gonna make sure that nobody gets turned away, you know, because and doesn't feel comfortable with the process. You know, if somebody wants to appeal, that's their right to appeal. And we need to give them the opportunity to appeal if they need to or they want to. So we'll make sure that whatever we have to do, that they'll be able to appeal their property and it'll be heard.
Any other questions for John before we move on?
Thanks for the presentation. I thought that was very helpful.
Thank you, John.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Night, John.
We'll talk soon.
For the rest of the night.
All right.
Bye, John.
Bye.
The next item is unfinished business, and we have none. So there's nothing on for tonight's agenda. So we're going to move to new business. And the first item on new business was to discuss community development block grant, but we really did that with the community hearing. Okay, so we can move on past that one, Patty. The next one is to discuss the Holly School District tax arrangement. And Teresa, that's yours.
Okay, so the Holly School District Tax Summer Collection Agreement is a 2-year agreement this time. We have 4 different schools that we do summer billing for, and 3 of them are all on the same cycle. They were from 2020 to 2022. Holly Schools was from 2018 to 2020. So when I contacted each of the school districts last month, they we talked about their agreements, and Holly Schools assistant superintendent told me that they were perfectly fine with the rate that we had already been paying, or that they had already been paying us. And I proposed that we do a 2-year agreement. That way everybody would be on the same cycle for renewal. And that made good sense to Steve, the assistant superintendent. And he said to go ahead and send up that agreement. And once we approve of it, Bob, you and I both sign it, and then I can get it over to Holly School District.
I think this is good that you trimmed it up to match the rest of them, so it's all consistent.
Yeah, I think so. It seemed weird to me that, well, I mean, it is what it is, but with the opportunity to put everything on the same cycle, I thought that would be what's best.
Okay, so do you want to a motion from us to approve this agreement? tonight?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we approve the 2021 to 2022 agreement with Holly School Districts for the collection of summer tax for the school district according to the agreement dated February 8th, 2021.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Gina seconded. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, it doesn't involve money. Janelle, would you please take a roll call on it?
Christopher,
Yes,
Lizarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes,
Bill.
Yes,
Okay, I'm gonna sign this one right now. You'll have it tomorrow.
okay.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the Township Governance Academy, and I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to, is that you, Patty?
well, Teresa brought this to me this past week and suggested, and I agree with her about getting Janelle started in the Governance Academy through the Michigan Township Association. I think it's well worth, as Teresa brought to my attention, that we are covered due to our yearly, everybody can take classes. Several of those courses are not going to cost us anything extra. We're already, signed up for them. And it would get Janelle started on them. And they are all virtual. Check with Janelle and she would like to do it. Yes, they are.
Did they ask
Yes, we did.
Mother told me
She was.
What's the
she
phrase
was
that-
very-
What's the chief Mason's phrase? You voluntold?
Yeah, but last time, I guess she didn't get asked about the board review, alternate. Teresa, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you pretty much summed it up. And it's only $35 to enroll her. And there's like, I think 7 or 9 courses from Township Governance Academy that are included in our premium pass. So we might as well get her enrolled so if she can take all of those this year. I mean, it's a lofty goal, but you can do it, and that way we get more bang for the buck that we've already spent.
I really am enjoying this class.
Good.
I am.
I think
They do a good job.
Yeah, so, my motion is to approve Janelle being enrolled in the MTA, Michigan Township Association Governance Academy at $35, and, that's it, I guess.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Well, I'm sorry. Take a roll call.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead here on something.
Lizarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yeah.
Pat,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes,
Christopher.
yes,
Okay, next item on the agenda is discuss tri-party program. You have a lot of paper that came to you from the tri-party program, but let me just boil it all down to what it really distills to. There is money that comes from the road commission, Oakland County, and the township in 3 parts that are used for various programs. In many cases, at certain points in time, we'll use that to help cover the cost of gravel, which everybody knows has been going up. But if you recall, we got an opportunity to do all of Barron Road with kind of a lucky break instead of doing half of it. So we have allocated all of our dollars all the way through. If you look at about the 3rd page in your handout, it's got it looks like this. It's got the projects that are in there, and you can see at the end of this project, we really have $73 left in tri-party for this year. So that will give everybody a little bag of sand of your very own. Okay, so really what we just need to do is approve the use of the tri-party funds as indicated. We made the decision before to do the Barron Road project. Most of you have seen some of the markers out on Grange Hall. They're getting ready to take down the trees and stuff. And in Chief Mason, I know your people had asked about getting some of the firewood from it. So they give first choice to the people that they get the right of way from when they purchase the right of way. If they don't want the trees, the contractor has to get rid of the rest. He basically just mulches it up and gets rid of it. So I got the contact number for the contractor. Usually they're happy to give it to you if you guys want to use it for the firewood that you do every year. So today's, the only thing you need to do, I think, really is approve the tri-party funds as we've assigned them in the past. And then next year, when they do tri-party, they do this pretty much every year, we may have some that we might be able to put towards gravel or other things in the future. But we got to pay for that big project that's going on Barron Road this year, or finish paying for it. It's about half paid for right now. So I guess I'd like to make a motion that we approve the use of the tri-party funds as outlined for the Barron Road project.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, Janelle, would you take a roll call on that too?
DePaula,
Yes.
Bat,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes,
Lizarelli,
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is discuss income limits. And this has been dancing around for quite a while. It's the hardship income limits for the tax abatements. We always have a few senior residents in the township that, you know, we don't want to force them out of their homes and they get tax abatements. There's not a whole lot of them, but we do it. And what we've done is, with the help of Joycelyn, prepared some new language, and we adopt the federal government guidelines for it. And unfortunately, the guidelines don't actually get published till after our meetings. So what I'm suggesting is we approve the hardship documents as developed with our tax assessing department, and that we approve the federal hardship guidelines at whatever they get approved at later this year. You have in your handout, I think, a sample of what it looks like for last year, which is this piece of paper here that's blue with orange on the bottom. But that's the 2020 limits, not the 2021. They haven't finalized them yet, so they'll probably be a little bit different. So that's my motion to approve the documents and the hardship limit as it finally gets approved by the federal government. Is there a second to that? Gina, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we got through that. Okay, very good. Okay, next item, and I'm not sure, was this you, Danny?
Well, I'm gonna be
Discuss
honest
expired
here.
permit fees. I don't.
This did come to us. I think we should do it and put it on the next, on March's board agenda due to the fact of, I was not in the office today to discuss it further with, Danielle. And,
No money.
yeah.
She's a new grandma
I'm a
today.
new grandma, so I was the, you know, when you have a new baby and they have children, you have one more to watch when mom's in having a baby. So I was, the babysitter. I don't call it that. It was a joy. And
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
You still called me today. Answer my question.
yeah,
Yes.
and yes, I worked while I did that.
She did.
It's a beautiful baby boy. I think I can share this. Maybe I shouldn't, but I think everybody in the family knows now. He's a little boy. This does not outnumber our girls. We're 5, 2, 3 now. 3 boys, 5 girls, and he his name is Grant Vincent Quisenberry. Oh, we're very happy and pleased to have him in our family. Yeah, thank you. So I would like to
Table permit fee.
table the permit fees till I can square things up with Danielle or get a little more information from Danielle and Jerry, the building inspector. So
Okay, the next item we're going to move on to is the resolutions. For those of you who have never been through a whole budget process, I'll explain what happens. Under the law, we have to put out earlier than the meeting what may be the proposed salary adjustments for the year, and it only gets put out for elected officials because the only time the elected official's salary can be adjusted is with the new fiscal year and the new budget. So and I typically put a number in there that I think it is. But when we get to the budget session on, I believe it's the 15th or the 17th, we'll all sit there and discuss that as other issues. You'll get a set of budget sheets that Patty and I have prepared, which leaves those numbers blank, so we'll get to them. But I put forward what I typically do every year. This is the regular process, and all municipalities have to do it. So in those sheets, this gives the public an opportunity to look at those numbers and decide if they want to comment before the board meeting. That's all. And what happens is,
It has,
well, they can do it now or at the budget meeting, or when we bring it forward in March is when we actually say, we've had our budget meeting. Here's what we're suggesting. This is the budget we're putting forward. Most of the time, that's usually when most people would comment. And then if it's approved at the March meeting, it goes into effect April 1st, which is why all this stuff starts in February to get it done.
and the goal or the purpose is, Bob said, is, put it out there early enough so that we're not deciding when we go to approve the budget at the March meeting. Now we have, hopefully anybody who has something to say or concern or question, will do it prior and not right there when we're ready to approve the budget and it's a whole.
And the other thing is, the only ones we put through, in case you're wondering, we don't do the staff and all that. That all gets done at the budget meeting. And typically, we've always done everybody the same percentage-wise. But that's the reason these are the only 4 positions that are on tonight, because those have to be done. That's the only time you can have a raise take effect is with the new fiscal year, which for us is April 1st. So this has to be put out before we have our budget meeting, before we have our March proposed budget, in order to have it effective April 1.
And
And what I put forward was a 3% raise, so you know.
And also, it needs to be done this way because we don't hold an annual meeting. If there's an annual meeting held, it is done differently.
So I think, if memory serves me right, because Pam used to do a lot of this. I have to go from memory here, so I think we have to do that. No, I'm not, I wasn't here this morning either for another good reason, but I think we have to do them as individual resolutions.
Just, I had a comment, if I could.
Yeah.
Okay, so since this is my first time going through this whole process, I looked at the archived board minutes to see what the previous board decisions were for as far back as the online minutes would go, which was 2006. So, and just bear with me here because you have to understand my thought process, okay? So in 2006 and 2007, all the board members approved the resolutions for the 2.5% increase. That would be you, Pam Mazik, Shirley Scramlin, Diane Howell, and Dave Axe. Okay. Then, interestingly to me, in 2008 to 2012, there were no salary resolutions.
Right.
Okay.
I recommended you for those 5 years because the township had a huge impact on the property taxes. We took about a 43 or 47% hit on property taxes in 2 years. And so we, and some other townships as well, didn't have raises, but I didn't recommend any for 5 years.
Okay, so yeah, that was 5 years with no salary resolution, so no raises. All right, then in 2013 through 2020, every board member approved them and all were for 2% except one time in 2014, which was for 5%. So those board members included you, Pam, Dave Axe, Dale Kaysen, Marilyn McGee, Diane Howell, Jim Christopher, Gina Mazzarelli, Patty Back, and Shelley Kidd. So it seems to me for the past 15 years that salary resolutions have all passed by unanimous vote. And my understanding, and I know you just talked about it, is the resolution has to pass in order to bring the possibility to the budget, and that the passing of the resolution does not automatically result in a salary increase. That's so right. We have a budget meeting on February 17th at 10 o'clock in the morning. At that time, we're going to discuss the overall budget, which includes salaries of all the employees and the officials. So
everything but the fire department, because that's being done on a Monday.
Oh, yeah, good point. So I hope, just like Patty said, that anyone with any concerns about any budget items will attend the budget meeting or submit concerns in writing if they're not able to attend. So am I correct with my understanding before I put my vote in?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you want to take me off mute?
Yeah, you're good.
I am, okay, I didn't know, I should have known. All right, so to speak to the 5% that went on, and I was not elected at that time. They gave the extra 3 due to the fact that we went for 5 years without any pay increases at all. And again, you know, the township was in good shape to do it at that time, to go that amount. Okay.
And then my other question, you mentioned that generally, whatever we do agree on as a number, if we were to give any type of increase, it is affects the girls in the.
Again, it doesn't have to be, but we've always done.
Yes, whatever the boards always, I can speak as an employee. It's always been more than fair, whatever the board received, we did also, the office staff.
Okay, but her understanding is
Sure.
correct.
Yes, yeah, that was great. Yes, thank you for doing
Yes,
that.
well
research.
said, Teresa, well,
If we can, because I think this is memory, but I believe Pam said we need to do each one separately.
We
So I guess it doesn't matter. I can make them all one at a time.
do you have any other questions?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
You're good.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
Teresa?
Did you have something else, Teresa?
I'm just being.
Oh, no, mm-mm.
Jim?
Okay. Jim?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, then I'll get this rolling, or we'll be here all night. The salary recommendation for the supervisor that we're submitting for consideration is 3%, which would make it $69,410. Is there? That's my motion to submit. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
We need to do, I'm trying to do that.
Well, we're not
It's a
actually giving
resolution.
anybody the,
You're
we're
not
not actually
spending
giving
it.
anybody the money. We're just doing a
Exactly.
resolution.
But because it does involve money for 10
Then
points, to do a
we'll
roll
have-
call,
Well, if you want, we can.
we
do it as
always
you say.
have, I'm just
Okay.
saying, we always have.
Okay. All right, Janelle, can you take a roll call?
Yes, I would love to. Matt,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes,
Mazzarelli, yes, DePalma.
Yes. Okay, then for the clerk, the same resolution with 3% adjustment is for 64,879. That's the motion, and is there a second to that?
I'll support that.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? And Janelle, we'll do it the first time this time. Take a roll.
Bill,
Did you say bills?
Abid,
Yes.
Christopher,
yes,
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
No. You did. Yeah, all of the stuff for the budget meeting will be on Zoom, and it'll be posted on the township website
And Facebook.
and on Facebook,
Thank you.
just like the other ones. Is that it? The only question we have? Okay. The next motion is for the township treasurer, and that's for the same amount, 64,879. So that's a 3%. Is there a second to that motion?
Yes.
By Gina? Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, Janelle, would you take the roll call?
Christopher,
yes,
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Okay, and then we also adjust the last one is for the board of trustees, which get paid for per meeting, or per diem is what it says. And we do that because sometimes, every board meeting has a board meeting followed by a fire board meeting. We don't pay for 2 meetings.
No.
We pay for one for the day, is what it is. And that dollar amount goes with 3% to 231.
And I just want to add, because I did come in to read I know
Oh,
there was a
right.
question.
Right.
So also with that, that pertains only to the township board meeting. So like, if
So if
there
we
were
have
a BZA or something on that day, you would not get the amount you get for sitting on the board. That's a different
You get
stipend.
the board of the BZA or PC or whatever.
Right, right. And you would get paid for that. Okay.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Chanel, if you take a roll call.
Mozzarella?
Yes.
Totally wrote you down as mozzarella, autocorrect.
Mozzarella.
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes,
Christopher.
Yes,
Okay, and moving on, the next item is, this one's yours, Patty, to discuss the
Yes.
Help America Vote CARES Act
Yes.
signer agreement.
Yes, we need to, okay, so I didn't get a minute to check. My memory isn't like remembering, but prior to the elections, HAVA, which is Help America Vote Act, and they give funds to cover election equipment. I brought to the board a request to buy a tabulator. That gave us one for each precinct. We had a spare. And my concern was, with the COVID being, not knowing how many people were gonna vote absent voters. And I was like, well, we only have one tabulator for our, AD County Board. We have an extra. But in the event that a tabulator would have broke down, or we ended up, which we did end up with over 2,000 people that voted AD in the November election, it was a lifesaver to have 3 tabulators we ran in here. So this is now, it's been purchased. But in order to get the funds for it, to have a pay for it, the agreement and the contract has to be signed by the highest elected official.
So it's a reimbursement.
This is a reimbursement. If this does not get signed, what's going to happen is they're going to send us a bill for that tabulator and the software and everything that, was paid for. I don't recall the amount. We did have some to pay for, but it was because I ordered a second stick and everything in case something went wrong with one of them, one of the programming sticks and stuff. And it was only, I think it was under $100, and it was still well worth it. So I propose or motion to approve the agreement for Bob DePalma to sign as the highest elected official in the township, the Help America Vote Act, CARES Act grant agreement for voting system, hardware, firmware, and software. And that's my proposal, or my motion. And it's only for, election equipment, which saves the township money. It's been used before, HAVA funds. Not while I was here, but in the past. So
That's
that's
your
my
motion?
motion.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
By Jim? Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, this isn't actually spending money, we're just agreeing to
Exactly.
make
This,
it the signer. so
we already agreed,
spent the money.
we already voted, or it came, we already approved to buy the tabulator. This
With
is
that,
just,
we'll do it by, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
All opposed? Okay, done. Thank you. The next item on the agenda, I think, I apologize, we kind of went around this. The poverty exemption issue was really discussed with the income limits and the hardship case in all this language. So I think we've already done our motion on that earlier, and so we're covered on that. unless anybody wants to discuss it further. Okay. Then moving on to miscellaneous reports, we still do not have a rep for the Holly Youth, right?
No,
Right, we were,
okay,
we're gonna have, that was gonna go put out on the sign
yes.
and,
See if somebody's interested.
yeah, and maybe on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I did reach out to Holly Youth Assistance, letting them know that if there is anything they would like posted, since we don't have a rep, send it to me, email. I'd be happy to, report it for them. And also, they are welcome to attend the Zoom meeting, and the president, the secretary, an appointed could report it that way too. Yes.
Okay. Anything for Brandon Groveland Youth?
Brandon Groveland Youth, yes, I didn't bring, oh, yes, I did. There's a meeting tomorrow. Suicide prevention is gonna be Monday. It was today. It started 6:30 to 8 via Zoom. There are flyers here in the office. You can go on the BGYA website, which just came up. It's really nice and very informative. There's also posted on the door for it. So that's one thing. The other thing is they're letting us know there are free virtual classes, parenting, love and logic again. It's very well accepted, and a lot of people have really benefited from it. Summer recreation, sports scholarship opportunities. So this too will be posted on the door. I will also put it on our Facebook page. It can go on the website under information and stuff. Current events, there you go. And you can always call in and ask. I'm happy to mail it, email it, whatever you need. So that's what I have on those.
Anything, Jim, anything for the planning commission?
Yeah, there was a planning commission meeting a couple of weeks ago, and a gentleman, I'm pretty sure his name was Bob Soltz, came in from he's a developer, and I think the name of his group is RAVE. Perhaps there's an S on the end of it. I can't even read my own writing, everybody, I'm sorry. But he's got a parcel of land that is just short of the 40-acre minimum for a planned urban development. And I mentioned this once before. He's interested in putting up something on the order of what I call storage buildings, but it's condominiums. To the rear of the property, to the front of the property, apparently some manner of commercial, bermed in between the two uses. And if he's a man to his word, meeting with residents to successfully, well, I'm going to say potentially obscure the buildings from public and from the neighboring residences. Because of the very small amount of acreage that's missing, it is on its way to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I think that's tomorrow evening, I think. So that's all I can tell you right now. It's conditionally approved, assuming that it passes through the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay, thank you. Next would be the BZA, Gina.
He is correct.
The other half of the discussion.
No, I'm teasing. I don't know what it is yet. But yes, meeting tomorrow at 7.
Okay. For supervisor's report, I got a love letter from the county today, the water department, that said the drainage improvement that they're doing in the runoff area for Bald Eagle Lake, which partially covers a section of Groveland that's, across the township line into Groveland for Bald Eagle Lake, is going to have a project to improve the ditching and the drainage in the area. And our piece of it's going to end up being $3,400 today. So I'm just letting you know we got a love letter from the Drain Commission today that we're going to get a $3,400 bill for some drainage work that they plan to do in 2021. The other thing is the budget meeting is the 17th at 10 o'clock for the township. Part of what I'm going to do is go over our revenue streams and that before we get into the different issues we talked about. And part of the issue I hope to be able to tell you by then is where we're shaping up to either go or no go on the sewer project. I just got confirmation today that the next sewer meeting that George and I asked for is this Thursday. And Chief Mason, that's at your training center in the morning at about 11 o'clock. I think the 11th is a Thursday. And George and I have the same concerns. We're trying to figure out whether or not this is going to really happen. I also have some other potential revenue generating ideas that I've been working on for the township that would bring dollars in, not from the regular taxpayers, but from some other sources. So hopefully I'll have all of that for you at the budget meeting as we get ready to go through the budget. So you get an understanding where our money's coming from, where we might get it from, and where a couple of big projects are going to us. As you recall, a lot of that infrastructure money is sitting there in the event that we decide we need it for the sewer project. So I would like to know, is that going to happen? How much? If not, what might we use that for going forward? So that's all I have for the supervisor's report. Patty, do you have anything for?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Since they gave you information about this other trainer, they talked to you about Patterson. I've not heard anything else since we got that original.
I don't think we'll, honestly, I'll be surprised if we hear anything on Patterson until next year.
Okay.
That's just my guess,
Okay.
but they haven't said anything, and I'm in the flood
Right.
plain for
Yeah, I am
Patterson.
too. So-
I haven't gotten anything, and
Okay.
most of them, there's only a couple of people with a pretty big impact on that, on the north end of the township. The rest of us, if you're like, yeah, I bet you it's like, I don't say this in person,
Right.
but it's usually 10 or 15 bucks. But I haven't got anything. Okay, Clerk, Patty, you got anything?
Yeah, I just want to let it be known out there, if anybody is interested or would like to do some volunteer Meals on Wheels could use drivers. Drivers are needed. My understanding is they will put you in our area, so if you're interested, you might deliver in Brandon, but in Groveland or Holly maybe, but they are in need of drivers. And so that's one thing. The next thing, the Holly area veterans, I send out minutes, and there were some interesting things here. For instance, I didn't know about this. The Holly Post Office, I want to bring this up. Congresswoman Slotkin's assistant advised us that the president signed the bill that would allow her to rename the Holly Post Office. Our group suggested the new name. She took it to the veterans, and they suggested the new name, and they need to promote this action. The official name will be the Holly Veterans Memorial Post Office. I thought that was
Kind of tie it to the cemetery there?
maybe, yeah. And it says a ceremony and a plaque will be presented when the weather is warmer. We will ask permission to be a part of this ceremony. So this is what she brought to the table. They've been informed this is what's going on. The other, they meet monthly, and this one is January 20th. I have to look up. I didn't read when they're, actually I do know. Their next meeting is February 17th for anyone who's interested at 10 a.m. And if you're interested, I'm trying to think where they meet. I don't know if it was posted on here. However, also the resource center there is open on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 9 to 3. And I do have heard they have helped several veterans with issues that they haven't been able to work through themselves. They help them, with whatever veteran needs. So I would, I was just gonna say, give me a call. It's not on I will post it on the website, how to reach, actually, we had some flyers on the town. I'll look. And we'll get it posted also on the website, the Facebook, all of that. Okay? So I think that's all I have, I'm pretty sure. Everything else is going, oh, I wanted to just say, everything else is going well. I guess that's really good.
Teresa?
Yeah, sure.
You think you
So
wanna go?
from the treasurer's office, so March board review is March 2nd, 8th and 10th. And that information is out in the notice of assessments. And of course, I thank John again for his presentation today. And we'll post that meeting information for the March board review. And as always, residents can call the office here if they have any questions, and somebody can put them in touch with John as well. So if residents aren't sure how to get a hold of John, they can just call the office and we'll get them in touch with John for the board of review. We also are up and running on BSNA online. So, Oakland County has Property Gateway, which has all of the tax information and everything else that a lot of the large title companies and places use, but they charge people in the county a small fee to access their tax information. So we haven't been able to really, like, people who have their taxes escrowed have no idea what their taxes are until they call the township and ask. And so we field a lot of those questions. So we last month agreed to just go ahead and do a pay per hit contract with them. And I went ahead and got that all set up and worked with IT Right and BSNA Online, and we are all online. I tested it out myself using my own name and my property ID, and I downloaded or actually accessed. You have to create your own little login with a password, and then you can view your own for free, and they make you give an email address, and then you have to go to your email and click on that from your email, which then verifies that it's you. So you're only allowed to do, I guess, I'm not sure what the limit is. If you have 5 parcels, I hope you can access all 5, but I have 1. I was able to access the 1 and it showed all the accurate information. So this is not real-time data though. It's only updated as often as someone in our office, either myself or my deputy, will update it. So one of the things I was wondering from the board, I mean, ultimately it's me that's going to be updating it, but I was thinking of going for about once a week, maybe twice a week, because I just don't know that it's realistic to expect it to be updated every single day with a small staff. But what is your thought? Anybody want to weigh in on that?
I don't think it needs to be done every day, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I don't know how everybody else thinks. I think once a week, twice a week is good. I mean, that's my thought on it.
So yeah, it's kind of a process. You have to go into the tax, you have to export the whole entire file, then you have to go to a whole different computer, import the whole entire file, and that's fine. But I was thinking that since we get tax payments, when we get a lot of tax payments, I'm going to try to do it as often as possible. But I was thinking maybe like by Thursday afternoon, updating it with everything that's come in that week. And so if a person wants to log in, say Friday morning, and see, what are my taxes paid? And as we get closer to the end of the tax season, I'll try to do it more on a every other day or every day if we get a lot of payments made. So that's up and done. And I think that the residents are gonna like that if once they catch on. We've had several people who've said, I want to be able to see my taxes. So the other thing is that both Angela and I went through the required training for being able to do credit card payments over the phone. And so with people at home who want to be able to take care of business without having to come into the office or without having to drop anything off on they can pay it with a credit card over the phone, and we've walked through their process and gotten their seal of approval to be able to do that. So we're just trying to make things easier for people to work remotely or to do things from home, especially with, the COVID and everything else. The only other thing I really have is that I do think, having looked at a whole bunch of different treasurers' websites and township websites, our website, I'd like to propose that we do some revamping, some updating, some stylistic changes to it. And of course, I think that our cable manager, our deputy clerk, who's, an excellent communicator, right? Got her degree in communication. I think that there's some great resources here, but I do think that we need to talk to whoever the company was that created our website, and maybe we need to start looking at doing some revamping and some updates in the future. Doesn't have to be immediately, but I'd like to put that out there on the radar.
I think we'll
So.
put that on the agenda for
It
the
is.
board discussion.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It's-
I asked everybody on the board, did you have things you wanted tonight? I don't know what we'll get to, but I tried to list everything on that we had, so we could talk about that at the end.
Okay, all right. So that's it for me.
Is it credit and debit cards?
No, it's credit cards only. Actually, we had an issue with somebody who said it was a credit card, but it was really actually a debit card. So when I called down there to find out how come it was declined, they told me afterwards it was a debit, but actually, I'm sorry, let me correct that. It should work both ways, but oftentimes debit cards are not accepted only because of the fact that people think they have money, but when they've debited a lot of things, they often have holds on some of their funds, and then
Whoops.
well, they have the money, but the debit, I guess, doesn't go through because too much of their money's already been held back for something else, and they always hold back way more than they need to. It's something weird with debit cards. So it's supposed to work, but so far I know that credit cards do.
In theory.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, is there anybody on the meeting that wants to have public comment? We'll open the meeting for public comment.
I just want to say one more thing, if I'm still being heard. The budget meeting is Wednesday, the 17th at 10 a.m.
And that's the third time.
And
So,
I know, we will go ahead and post it, but I didn't know if it actually came out at 10 a.m.
People were asking.
is there anybody else that wants to ask a question?
We might.
Okay, can
It's Thomas.
Thomas, okay, somebody named Thomas?
Yeah, I just was wondering, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, yeah, I was just wondering if in the future it'd be possible to get any of those packets that the board is looking at, well, either posted on the website in electronic form or something. It would make it a lot easier to follow along when you're talking about things in a packet.
They are posted on our website.
Okay, they're posted ahead of the time. I just might not know where they are.
Okay. They're on our website, grovelandtownship.net. Go to the agendas. The agenda.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. The agenda is there, and Janelle, be sure, where is it actually posted? The board packets are there.
When you're on,
I know we had them in one place and we moved up to another.
Here, I'll share the screen.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen the agendas before. I've just never seen the board packets.
Yep.
Here. I'm gonna share my screen just so you can see if you can
There
see.
you go. Thank you.
So once you're on the website, it's right here under documents,
Documents.
and then you go documents on demand. And from there, you can go township board, and they're all right in your packets.
Okay, good question.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Got it.
any other questions? No, any indications? No. Okay, if there's no other questions, then I move that we adjourn and reconvene for the fire board meeting.
Support.
Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, chief, we're all here for the fire board meeting. It's yours now.
Thank you. The incident breakdown sheet that I gave you, we had 108 calls for January, but the sheet only reflects 72. So I went and did some research. And for some reason, Clemens is only counting 72. You can see where it starts on number 17, then jumps to like 32. So this is not a true indication, the incident breakdown of what happened during the month, but
What you're saying, the January 20th of 2020 are wrong?
the January 2021 are wrong. It's 108 calls, but the sheet only reflects,
That's what we have, 108. That's what it says.
I know, but the sheet,
This sheet, I think.
The sheet-
Oh, the backup sheet you're saying doesn't have them all. Okay.
right. So for some reason, it dropped a whole bunch of runs, and I'll look into it. I'll put a trouble call in tomorrow for it.
Can you tell us how many transports there were? Because I didn't get those sheets.
And that's partly why I can't tell you that, because it only lists
Okay.
72 of them, so.
It's
No, I
needed
can
to
tell you
follow.
that right now, but when I figured, when we get it, all those runs back in, I'll give you another. sheet.
Okay, good enough.
As you can see, we jumped quite a bit. Last month, I think we had 60 calls, and then there was 70 calls the month before that, and 60 calls before that, so I think we had a pretty good jump so far last month, and then this month, we're at 21 calls so far, so for a week, we're at 21. That will track up to about 80 calls if it stays steady.
Well, I've got you there. If you get any kind of a heads up on somebody around here who's going to be doing those COVID-19 vaccines, let me know so we can put it up on the sign, because I got people calling me saying, when can I get it? And I said, when I get mine, I'll let you know you can get yours.
If I hear something definitive, like where you can sign up and things, as far as I know, you have to go through Oakland County for everything.
Yeah, that's the only thing that and Myers, you can go on their, you can text them and get on Myers too.
Did you
That's the
get
only
a
two.
response?
Myers said, yeah, I'm on theirs, and I got one from the county, said I'm on the list, but it doesn't say when you're gonna get it.
And anybody who would like that Meyer, I can get that for you.
Yeah.
Uh,
You get to
What
go to
the
Myers
number you
website,
text.
and then you can click on the store you
Yes.
want, like Oxford's the closest for us,
Yes.
so I clicked this onto that, but I haven't heard anything.
Somebody gave me a heads up on that, and I knew, I
did
sent
the
it
next
to
day,
Bob, and
yeah.
I said, hey, send it, text it there and see what happens. And I didn't really hear from
But just if we, if you hear anything, tell us so we can let the rest of the people know the sign.
Will do.
Okay, anything else?
For new business, our generator at Station 2, it runs in manual mode, but it does not run in automatic mode, and it's been like that since 2018. Back then, we got an estimate of, I think it was $2,200 to repair. I'd like to pursue seeing if we can get it repaired now. I put down $3,000. I have not got a new quote, but I'd just like permission to go ahead and look into that and approve up to $3,000 to fix that generator, so it'll start automatically.
Okay, so you need to make a motion that we approve money to fix the automatic starting feature on the generator at Station 2 on Grange Hall Road, not to exceed $3,000.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll support.
Patty, okay. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, would you take a roll call on that?
Devon,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes,
Bill,
yes.
Sorry, guys. Christopher,
Yes.
Shirley,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Chief, there was another item you wanted to cover too?
James Butler, who works for us, he works for CN Railroad, and they generously donated $1,000 to our association because he's volunteers at our fire department. So we got the check and we deposited in the association. So
Wow, that was nice. Very nice.
And the only other thing I have is the Safer Grant. Stacy submitted another request for payment, and that one is going to be $23,163.41. And
Is that the last one for the
I
safer?
think so, and that's going to be basically like 200, I didn't do the math, about $235,000.
That's what I figured. Okay. Thank you.
And we finished painting the floor at Station 2. We were gonna do some more touch up, and then in the spring, we're probably gonna do the forward section of the Station 2.
Okay.
And other than that, we're just, oh, I did talk to Mad Diesel about ladder 1. He hopes to have
Still
some.
over there?
Yeah, we have a ladder, Bob, if you didn't know that. It's like, been so long since we've seen it, but he said he'll get in touch with me tomorrow about it. And it doesn't, I mean, I have no further information than the last one. So
Okay.
Stacy's
else?
looking at new ladders, by the way.
Anything else for the meeting?
That's all I have. Bob.
Okay, any questions or comments from the public? Can you see if there's anyone there today? No, okay, well, if that's it, then, Chief, I guess a motion is in order to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question for him, but he doesn't have to be part of the meeting.
Okay.
I want to get that ID badge. I want to set up a time
Oh,
to get the
yes.
ID badge, because I really like to be able to go and visit the properties that I have to on BZA and like some type of ID.
To be honest, Kevin and I spoke about that. I'm not sure, I was hoping we could set up a time where maybe a couple of days where, you know, you could go in, whoever had to do it would be there, and all of our board members, our inspectors, our building inspectors, Jerry is our code officer and our building inspector, and maybe even us as electeds, because you never know when you might have to show up somewhere for whatever reason.
Well, I'll tell you, Mondays and Fridays are the best days because I'll volunteer Jeff Burdess to take care of those.
Told for us to take care of it.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect. So do you want us to set up like February, this Monday in February and that Monday or Friday, or can they just walk in and get it
They can walk in, but if, I mean, they're on the call, they're on the call, but
done? Right.
it'd be even better if someone could consolidate a list and we could, if we had a picture of everybody, we could just do them all at once.
Okay, I have no problem doing that.
Okay. Anything else?
So,
It's a lot easier just to run the printer one time rather than, you know, you gotta take it all out and set it all up and everything else, so.
so like if we set up a week where like Monday the 15th you come in and Friday, what is it, the 22nd?
We can go with her.
So that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
You'll have
Oh,
to
we
go
come in,
there.
yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
he's saying to get everybody to come on those 2 days if you can, because it's easier to print. Once they get the pictures in, they're not gonna print it very separately. They'll print them all like that Friday afternoon and you'll be
Right.
good to go. Am I right?
We just need a picture and the information you want on the card. And, you know, what
We
do you
live
want?
on our
What kind of
agent, our
background do you want? What's that
We
about?
lie about our age and our weight, will you put it on there?
Well, we do it on mine already, so.
Okay. Well, I think we
And
have
hair color, right? Right, Chief? Hair color too?
I dye mine gray, just make everybody else feel bad.
Okay, we made a motion and a second. No other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, everybody. Good night.